Joining us to discuss these latest developments is Bart Marcois, former Department of Energy official during the George W. Bush administration, also a former U.S. diplomat. Bart, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you again. Now, to begin, how significant of a move is this, especially given that China bought 68%, or the vast majority, of the oil exported by Venezuela in 2023? That's according to a 2024 analysis by the U.S. Energy Information Administration.
Oh, this is one of the biggest moves any administration has ever made against a foreign adversary, short of actual shooting war. It's enormous. He is saying, not only is he saying we're banning Venezuelan oil and gas, and not only is he saying we're putting tariffs on countries for various trade violations, he's saying we are going to put a 25% tariff on all trade from any country that buys Venezuelan oil and gas. And that's a smack right in the forehead of the Chinese Communist Party, because they're if not the biggest, one of the biggest customers for Venezuelan oil. It's a bold move. It's a strong move, and I'm thrilled to see it.
Now, digging on that China front, several reports note China's history of using front companies to evade U.S. sanctions on Venezuelan oil. What would action from the U.S. government to counter that look like? Like these 25% tariffs, will that be enough to cut through the facade of Chinese front companies?
Oh yeah, when you're in the oil and gas business, people do front companies all the time to avoid sanctions against sanctioned countries, to buy sanctioned oil. A smart Department of Justice, a smart law enforcement operation, smart Department of Treasury can pierce that corporate veil without a great deal of hindrance. And they know who it is that's buying it, because eventually you track that oil, you track the ship. They go out in the middle of the ocean. If they turn off their transponder, then you know they're exchanging the oil with another ship that also turned off its transponder, and you see where the oil winds up. You can track the flow of oil around the world. You can get away. Bad actors can get away with buying sanctioned oil if nobody really cares about it. But if a government is determined to catch them, it will catch most of them. And it only takes one shipment to trigger the 25% tariff. I think this is a very serious move by the president, and the ball is now in the court of the Chinese Communist Party. Let's see what they do. Do they care about continuing to supply the largest economy in the world, or do they care more about buying cheap oil that is sanctioned by the United States?
Now, the U.S. has extended oil producer Chevron's license in Venezuela after announcing these so-called secondary sanctions. Is there a connection here? Will Chevron be tied to U.S.-Venezuela negotiations that might be triggered by these tariffs?
The United States government is not going to undermine one of the largest contributors to the American economy. It will come up with some mechanism to protect the interests of American companies. I don't expect that they will give Chevron anywhere near as much rope as the Biden administration has done, and I think the days are coming when that license is no longer going to be in operation.
Now, digging into Venezuela, the Miami Herald covered a group of intel experts that say they found direct links between 1,800 members of the TDA, or Tren de Aragua, and the Venezuelan regime, adding that these were sent to the U.S. with the goal of destabilizing security agency through what's known as asymmetric war. Now, that's a term often associated with the Chinese regime. So any ties here?
Oh, I think the ties between China and Venezuela are quite strong. They're multifaceted. But yes, the Tren de Aragua is a 300 or more of those 1,800 received actual paramilitary training from the Venezuelan military. Were there Chinese advisors there? Possible. Certainly there were Cuban advisors, and the ties there are well known. the strongest ties are between the Venezuelan intelligence network, the military, and the drug cartels, the narco traffickers. There's a drug cartel called the Cartel de los Soles, the cartel of the suns, like the sun in the sky. And they are the people that are above everything else. They're untouchable because they're protected by the Venezuelan government. And I've seen that article you reference, and it names names. It's an extraordinary expose of what the Venezuelans are doing. I saw your broadcast a few minutes before I came on about fires, more wildfires. A lot of the training of these Venezuelan gangs involved arson. And anytime you see arson causing a wildfire or an industrial fire, you can bet that it's better than a 50, 60, 70% chance that a Venezuelan gang or a Mexican cartel was behind the arson.
Very concerning. Now, expanding on that, national security expert Joseph Humayer has said that TDA, or Tren de Aragua, is a proxy of the Venezuelan regime, which he says is itself a proxy of the Chinese Communist Party. First, do you agree with his assessment here? And if so, explain this relationship.
100%. The Chinese have been protecting the Venezuelans in the world markets and in the world economy, and they will continue to do it. The Venezuelans are a convenient proxy for them, and all of the gangs are a proxy for the Venezuelans. They all work together: China, Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, and Russia. They all work together in one way or another and to one extent or another.
Very concerning indeed. Well, Bart Marcois, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.